Hey everybody, we are here today to talk about how to customize the look of your Obsidian Vault. Today we're worried almost entirely about the appearance, not really the functionality, but the appearance matters. It's one of the things about Obsidian that a lot of people enjoy is that you can customize a lot of things. And so we're going to spend some time just going over the basics that come with Obsidian without installing anything, as well as some of the things that you can do when you add themes and even some custom cascading style sheets or CSS snippets. So let's dive into that, shall we? I have a brand new vault here. I've just made a couple of changes to this vault. It'll be illustrative for demonstration purposes later. First of all, I've added a folder structure over here on the left with 6 folders. They're all empty, nothing in them, but they'll be useful in a little while. And then this is the standard welcome note that every new Obsidian vault comes with. And I noticed from one of my tests, I've actually turned something else off here, but we'll show what it looks like when it turns on in a minute. And so this is the standard welcome note. I have added a couple of things to it. I've added a note that says this is code, that's in a code block. And then I have added a call out. So we'll see what those look like when we customize some things in a little while. So to start customizing, we're going to open up the settings in your vault. You can do that just using the cog wheel that's down here at the bottom. You can also do it from the command palette, Command P or Control P if you're on Windows, and look searching for settings. And then you can also see here in the settings, we've got a keyboard shortcut, or a hotkey is what Obsidian calls them, of Command comma. So any one of those 3 options will get you to the settings. Hopefully you're doing that a lot because there are just lots of things you can customize in the settings of Obsidian. So you can see here, I've already got the appearance tab open. If I'd open to general like it would the first time, I would come down here to appearance. And I'm actually going to restore that to the default. I'll show you all of that in just a second here. But let's go ahead and start out with the color scheme. So right now, because I've been playing with this vault, a few things, just as the purple color, are not at their default settings. The base color scheme, actually, I think when it ships is at Adapt to System. So often when Obsidian opens, it opens like this. I prefer the dark mode. When I'm using Obsidian, you certainly can choose your preference. There's dark mode, there's light mode, and then there's, again, that adapt to system. So those are the options. You can change it at any time. You can change it in the morning to light and at night to dark if you want to. That's usually what folks would use adapt system for, but you can play with it as much as you want. It's not going to hurt your notes or change the content of what you're working on. It just changes the way it looks, and you can always change it back. Next up is our accent color. You already saw me change that really quickly from that orange that I like to this purple. This is the default purple, and it shows up here. It shows up here. I'm trying to think if there's anywhere when you're changing links, any links will show up in that purple as well. So in that, whatever that default color is. So we can come in here and we can choose the color picker to choose a color. So I can choose my more preferred orange here. I can also use the eyedropper here, and I've left my desktop viewable for you, and I've got this pretty blue over here on the side. I can click that blue using the eyedropper, so you can pull up an image and pick a color from it. You can also change the RGB or the HSL or the hex. It's one setting, so it's all the colors in that one setting. But if you know what your code is, you can choose that as well. I'm just going to go ahead and find something in the orange genre and go ahead and set that. As soon as you click out of that, your color has changed. So nice and easy, no problem at all. This little loopy arrow, don't hit it unless you want to reset your colors. You have to be really careful because Obsidian uses 2 different arrows. We'll see the other one in a minute. A double loopy arrow is a refresh or a show me what has changed. The single loopy arrow like this one restores the default. So click this one with caution because you don't want to undo all the changes that you've made. That becomes especially important when we're customizing a theme, and it's one button to change all of the colors that you have just set. So just pay attention to those arrows. I do like to hover over them sometimes to be like, okay, is this the one I really want or not? We're going to come back to themes in a minute. I want to walk you through all the things that you can set just at the base before we add a theme and talk about how you could customize that. So the next step are our fonts, and Obsidian, unlike a traditional word processor, when I am out here on my note, there's only one font, and that is I can't type today, the font for all of my text. Okay, and by default, you can't customize that. You can add italics using Markdown, and you can add bold, and you can add highlight, but you can't really change the actual font. Excuse me. So let's go back to our settings though and see what these font settings are about. So the first one is the interface font. And that's all the font that's used in all of the Obsidian menus and things like that. The second font is the text font. So that is the text, the font here in your note. The third font is the monospace font, and that is the font in code blocks like this one. So you notice this font and this font are slightly different. They're not super different, but they are slightly different. So let's look at what happens when we change those. So I'm going to make these what I consider to be almost unusable because they become a little unclear, but that'll hopefully make it really obvious what I'm changing when you're watching on screen. You do you. Whatever you want is up to you. So we're going to hit manage here for the interface font. And as soon as you click that, this little menu pops out. If for some reason it doesn't, just click in the box and then you can arrow through here to see all the different options. And I'm going to come down here to, we're going to go to brush script this time. I've done this a few times. So as soon as I hit save on this, watch what happens to the fonts right over here on the left. Notice how now they're all in script. Okay, it's different, it's pretty. It would be, for me, hard to read all day long, but it's there. But notice if we go out to our note, nothing changed with the text of our note. It only changed our menus and all of the Obsidian interface font. So let's go ahead and go back in here and change that text font. So if I come in here to manage, now we're going to impact the text of that note that we were just looking at. So I'm going to choose something else. I think there's a chalkboard one. Let's use Chalk Duster. Here we go. So I'm going to choose this Chalk Duster font. I'm going to hit save. Again, it doesn't look like anything happened, but we come out to our note. Now all of my notes look like they're written on a chalkboard, which is kind of fun. Notice though, this code block is still exactly the same. It has not changed from how it was. So let's look at that one. And that is that monospace font. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to do American Typewriter, which is my favorite one for this. And I'm going to hit, now notice this has a serif font. It has little feet on all the letters. So there's like a little extra curly Q on them. If I hit save and I come out here, now my code block is in that typewriter text. Not a huge difference, but it is a difference. You can, when you're installing fonts, let me go back here to this one, you can actually install multiple. So let's say I want AnuPpuccin as my second one. What that does is if you use Obsidian across multiple devices, so say a Mac machine and a Windows machine at work, maybe your Mac at home, Windows at work, and then maybe you've got an Android phone and an iPad tablet. They're all going to have different system level fonts installed. And maybe you even want different looks on different devices. This is a way you could control that. So if your iPad doesn't have brush script installed, but it does have AnuPpuccin, then your iPad will display the text in AnuPpuccin. Personally, I don't make changes here. This is not an area of the interface that matters to me. So I leave this with all of these off. So I just, to uninstall them or to change it, I just hit the little X to the right of it and hit save, goes back to normal. I'm gonna do the same thing here and here. Although I might leave that one. I do like that American Typewriter font. Okay. You can also, I'm gonna go ahead and pull my settings screen down for a second so you can sort of see the size of my font here. And I'm gonna go back in here and I'm gonna increase that font size a bit. We'll go up to 20 to make it pretty obvious what we just did. I'm going to close that. And notice, hopefully you can tell that on the screen, this font got bigger in our note. Now notice that didn't do anything to our menus over here. If you want to change those, I have found the easiest way to do that is with the view menu and do a zoom in, and that will make those bigger. It also changes the font size a little bit, but not quite as much as it does with the font option. Okay, so we've made that a little bit bigger, and you can reset that back to normal by hitting that restore default. I'll leave it where it is for a moment. This quick font size adjustment will let you use control scroll or the trackpad pinch and zoom to change your font size. I've had a little bit of trouble with this setting. Now, granted, I haven't used it in a long time, but it's not something I feel like I need to adjust on a regular basis, so I have this turned off, but feel free to test it. You can always turn it off if you don't like the way it's working. That's not a problem. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and take a look at these inline title, the tab title bar, and the ribbon. So let me show you where each one of these is. The inline title is this title right here that is actually a part of your notes. What this lets you do is actually change the name of the note, so the name that's in the tab and the name that's over here in the sidebar, by clicking right here and hitting enter. Okay. I like this feature. This is a way that I rename notes all the time. So for me and my workflows, I leave that option turned on. You don't have to, completely up to you. The second option is for, and that is the, let me go back down here. That is the inline title. If I turn it off, you notice my high is gone. If I want to rename this note now, I either have to right click it and do rename, or I have to come over here and, double clicking doesn't work. I would have to rename there as well. Interesting. I wonder if that's something I have in my regular vault, because I'm pretty sure I can double click them in the left sidebar in my regular vault. It'll be a source of another tutorial at some point. So we're going to come back in here to appearance, and I'm going to turn that inline title back on. The second option is this show tab title bar. Now, I don't like this one. And this is going to put the name of the note right here. I just think it gets redundant. I have it in the tab, I have it in the note, and then I have it here as well. I leave this one turned off, or I turn this one off. But if you want it back on, you can turn it on, and then you see there, it's there, there, and there. And if I rename this to first note, it now changes it in all 4 places. So that's completely personal preference. It doesn't impact how Obsidian functions at all. It's just your personal preference. Next, we're going to go down and take a look at the ribbon. Now, the ribbon is this bar along the left-hand side. And what will happen is as you install additional plugins, community plugins, new buttons will get added to this ribbon. Some people love the ribbon and they prefer the button clicking. Some people prefer using the command palette for everything, the Command P or Control P to search for things. Some people use a combination of them. I'm not a big ribbon user, but I still like having it there as an option if, something isn't working the way I want it to. You can, though, turn it off if you want. And to do that, you just turn that off, and notice now my ribbon is gone. If you're like, oh, nope, want that back again, no problem, just turn the ribbon back on. Super easy. Something newer in Obsidian is that you don't need a third-party plugin to actually configure the way the menu looks. And this is something that, because I use the ribbon, I do this on a pretty regular basis. So I'll come in here and change my ribbon configuration. So you'll notice that actually by default, I've already changed this from a tutorial. By default, this looks like this. So your ribbon, when you first start a new graph or a new Obsidian vault, looks just like this. If I come in here and I go back to my ribbon menu configuration, I'm like, well, I am never going to create a new canvas from here. I'm never going to insert a template from here. And I'm never going to open the quick switcher from here. So I can remove those. And then let's say that I want the command palette to be at the top. I can move by using the grab handles over here on the right. Again, if I want something back on, I can just add it back like that. And I can move things around. So you've got complete customization of your ribbon. As you install more community plugins that add buttons to the ribbon, that list will grow and change. I have a note in my vault, a task in my vault that comes up about every 3 months, just to come back in here and check my ribbon menu configuration. Sometimes something drives me nuts and I'll remember to do it, but it's one of those things that I like to keep my vault sort of clean and neat and orderly, so I will come in and change that when I need to. So that's the ribbon menu configuration. I mentioned that you can control the zoom level from the view menu. You can also control it here. So right now we're at 131%. I can quickly reset it back to the default. And now you'll notice that it's back to its normal size. If I want to come back to that and I want to come back to my zoom level and zoom in a little bit more, I can get back to that 131, and then that made the rest of the vault look a little bit bigger too. So the view, zoom in, zoom out works the same way as that appearance option does too. I can go back to actual size here, and that basically was the same as hitting that reset button on the zoom level. Okay. I don't really change anything with the native menus or the window frame or the custom app icon or the translucent window. You can turn this on if you want to. I'll see if you can notice anything. It makes the window a little bit more translucent so that you start to see things behind it. I haven't found it makes a huge difference. There are community plugins that do a great job of that. I don't find it does anything. So feel free, play around with it at your leisure. I leave the hardware acceleration on just as it is now. I don't change that. Last is CSS snippets. We're going to come back to that after we explore how to install a community theme. So let's do that. If I come back up here to the top of the window, we've done everything you can do by default in Obsidian. But there are loads of community themes that are available here. So if I click this drop down here, or if I click manage here on the right, this will show me all of the themes. You can see that dark is actually preferred. So while I'm in dark mode and I'm showing dark mode themes only, there are 309 themes. If I change to light mode and I look at the themes, there are only 206 light mode preferred themes. In total, right now, there are 325 themes. I think there were 5 published since I started working on the article that accompanies this video. Because I think I had 320 in there. So new themes are published all the time. You can see the popularity of a theme by looking at the number of downloads right here. So I talked about the top 10 of them in the article that I wrote, 10 to 12. I don't remember exactly which. And you can certainly see you can play with themes for a really long time. So we're just going to walk through the installation of one of them, which is my favorite theme, which is this AnuPpuccin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. I welcome the opportunity to be corrected on that. This is my favorite theme, and it's a good demonstration of how you can customize a theme using one of the community plugins. So it's why I like to use this one for demonstration purposes. So to use a theme, we're just going to hit this install and use. And that's it. It's already installed. I'm going to close that window, and you can see now my theme is AnuPpuccin. Now, by default, there's not a lot that I can do. I do need to make sure that I'm checking for updates on my themes somewhat regularly. Themes will have to be updated as Obsidian changes the interface and things like that. The themes that are the most popular also seem to be the ones that continue to be used the most regularly. So that's another thing to think about. If you choose a theme that only 200 other people are using, the developer of that theme may choose to stop maintaining it. And so you may have to deal with that. So by default, I can't really change anything else with the AnuPpuccin theme. This is it. This is what it looks like. If I didn't do anything else, this would be my theme. As I mentioned, though, there is a community plugin that is available that will allow you to customize additional functionality or additional look of the theme if the theme developer has used that. Not all themes do, but many do. So far, I'd say it's maybe half do of the most popular ones. And again, in that article that accompanies this video, I have made a note as to how that the ones that I could find that had style settings available to them. So let's install that community plugin and let's look at what's available to customize this theme. So I'm going to go to community plugins. Again, this is a brand new vault, so I'm going to turn on, oops, that is not what I wanted to do. I just turned it off. Sorry. We're going to turn on community plugins. There we go. I'm going to hit browse. It's like my brain is not working. And we're going to look for the style settings community plugin. All right, so this is the style settings community plugin. You can see it's very popular, a little over 1.4 million downloads as of the time we're recording this. You can see all of the information about this plugin down here. The interesting thing about this is reading this information for the average lay person is not all that helpful. Most of the information on this is really for those folks who want to develop a theme on their own and then allow it to access the style settings plugin to do more theme development. And there's a CSS snippet that you can use to adjust every CSS variable of the default Obsidian theme. So if you want to come in with Obsidian CSS and you want to customize something very specific, you could do this as well. I may do a tutorial in the future on that. I'm not there at the moment, but that's something I would consider showing folks how to do if there's enough interest. So let's install this plugin. And then just like every community plugin, we also have to enable it. And then we get the options. So this is the thing about style settings, is that the options I have are based on the CSS snippets that I have installed in my vault and the plugin, the theme that is currently active in my vault. So right now, AnuPpuccin is active. Let me show you what I mean by that, just so you understand how it can change. If I come in here to themes and I manage them and I install Blue Topaz, and I come back to my settings and I go back to style settings, you'll notice now, because Blue Topaz is the active theme, Blue Topaz is installed here. If I come back to appearance and I change from Blue Topaz back to AnuPpuccin, my style settings go back to AnuPpuccin. So if you want to change a particular theme settings, you have to make sure that's the active theme at the moment. All right, so what can you change? Again, that differs by theme. So here's what you can change with AnuPpuccin, and I'm going to show you how to add something else in a minute. But if I came back up here to Blue Topaz and I come to style settings, you'll notice you can do the theme and you can do the code box. This is very different in look from how, AnuPpuccin looks. So with style settings, you've got to play around with these a little bit. If you have a style that has style settings and you're not sure how to get something to work, please feel free to drop into my community. I'll put links into the chat below. You can post a question there. I'd be happy to try to help with that. All right, so let's take a look at some of the settings that we can change here. I'm just going to play with the colors for a moment, and I'm going to change to this dark theme flavor. So there's Mocha Old, and notice how that sort of shifted that dark mode just a little bit. There's also Macchiato, which is this more bluish tint, and then there's also Frappe, which is even a little lighter gray. I think I like Mocha Old the best. And then you can also change the accent color based on the theme preference. So I like peach as my accent theme color, and notice that already changed that as well. So that's another option. You also have the ability, and this will become important in a little while, to do a lot of additional color overrides. This particular plugin has a lot of additional color items that you can add, and we'll look at that in just a minute when we get back into that. There are a couple of other things I like to do in Obsidian, in AnuPpuccin. One of those is in my the file editor markdown elements. I like to change the callout style. So it's at default right now. There's sleek. I noticed that changed this a little bit. So now it's got a little bit darker heading. There's a little line in it. And then there's this little box. If I come back in here to style settings and I go to block, it's different again. It's got a bar down the side. That line is gone. There's no real break between these two. Do it again. Vanilla normal is kind of like the normal theme with the block down the side, the differentiator, and then vanilla plus. That's the one I prefer. Yeah, and then this is vanilla plus. It puts the bar here, but not there. For some reason, I like that one. So you can choose whichever one you like. Completely up to you. You don't even have to change it if you don't want to. You can also change like custom callout colors if you want to. All sorts of things here. And there are a lot of things that I just don't even get into because I don't care about them. You can change your check boxes, your code blocks, how embeds are handled with the rounding of the corners, how lists get handled, tag borders and radii. So you can change a lot of things in this plugin. The reason I came to this plugin though is for one of the workspace features, which is the rainbow folders. And this is where we're going to show how to do a CSS snippet. So in rainbow folders, we have to download a CSS snippet and put it into the snippets folder in Obsidian. I'm going to walk you through those steps. So we're going to click on this option to open up this link. And this is a custom CSS script that is available from the developer. And I am just going to download that. And I'm going to make sure it downloaded. Every once in a while, for some reason, even though it looks like they downloaded, they didn't. And I have not quite figured that out yet. All right, so I have downloaded that file to my downloads folder, and kind of nothing happened in Obsidian. That's because we have a couple more steps we have to do. We have to go back to the appearance folder, or appearance tab. We have to come down here to CSS snippets, and you're like, well, no CSS snippets were found. Here's that double loopy arrow where it reloads. Still nothing found. So let's hit the folder icon, and this opens our snippets folder. What we have to do is open up that downloads folder where that file downloaded to. Let me open a new Finder window here and go to my downloads folder. And I need to drag this custom rainbow color CSS into my snippets folder. Okay. Now, if you saw that, what just happened is it looked like it disappeared and you're like, oh my gosh, I just downloaded there. It's because it's a hidden file. You can make it appear on Mac. It's Command-Shift period. You'd have to Google how to make hidden files appear on a Windows machine. I don't remember how to do that, but you can see it's still there. It's just a hidden file, and I'm going to toggle that feature off so I'm not looking at them anymore. So I'm going to close that snippets folder, and then I need to refresh it. There we go. So now my custom rainbow colors is installed and it's turned on. Okay. I'm going to walk through those steps one more time just as a reminder because I was talking about a couple of different things there. So we opened the snippets folder. We opened a new Finder window, or if you're on a Mac, a new file, or on a Windows machine, a new file manager window. We went to our downloads folder. That custom CSS snippet was right here. We drug it to snippets. And then we closed this and we refreshed. That's how we got back there. Now, watch what happened on the style settings plugin. We now have this option for AnuPpuccin custom rainbow folder colors. So if I click on this, I can see that I've got this option for custom rainbow colors. So I'm going to choose pink, peach, yellow, green, blue, and lavender. And now that I have that done, if I come up here into the workspace and go back to those rainbow folders, I have to change the rainbow style to either full or simple. I always do full. And if you could see right here on the back, what just happened is my folders just changed colors. Okay. Now, if you don't like these shades, you can further customize each and every one of those colors. You can do it a couple of different places. You can't do it here, but you can do it in this colors area here, and that's where the color overrides become important. So I did pink, so we'll change our pink to go to that color. And then I did peach. I'm not going to do all of these. I don't want you to have to look at that, but if you can see here, my colors are starting to change over here as I'm changing them in that. So you can fine tune that as you like. I love this theme. I love how you can customize it, but other themes will do a lot of different things as well. One thing to notice here on the AnuPpucin theme, once you get your settings set the way you want them, you can export those, and it's essentially a specific custom CSS. You might want to download that and save that, because if by accident you ever just hit that loopy arrow, you would undo all of your settings. It might be something, once you've got it set exactly the way you want it, download and save those, make a note to yourself of what you did and where you saved it so that you could reinstall those if you'd like. Hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions, I've left a link to my community below. Please come and join us. I offer Obsidian office hours about every other week. They are an opportunity for you to get questions answered about Obsidian. I would love to help. Thanks, everybody.